Good morning and welcome to Peace Out, where we talk about how God has given us peace and it is up to us to let it reign in our hearts. Check out my links. I did some links for I have ebooks. I have about 11 or 12 ebooks, and then I have some of those available on Amazon, also on Kindle or on in print. So check those out if you're looking for Bible study guides or devotionals. I got you covered, and I got a few more coming, but man, my plate has been full. Has your plate been full lately? Because it's been crazy. However, here's the good thing. I titled this just a little clay pot. It makes me think of that song, I'm Just a Little Teapot, Short and Stout. Who wrote that? Right? Who wrote that? That's not even nice. Anyway, um, but I was just thinking about it this morning because I was reading in Second Corinthians, and Paul. One thing I love about Paul and I love about David, both of them, they were gut level honest about the things that they were talking that they were going through. Right? I hope I have the right audience selected on this. I didn't change the audience. I'll figure it out in a minute. Uh, anyway, they were gut level honest, right, about all of the different things they were going through. I mean, David would say, I'm not doing good at all. My enemies are surrounding me. I'm going to fail. Oh my goodness. But he always ran back to God. And Paul in, let's see, it's right here in Second Corinthians, he says, we have this treasure in earthen vessels. And then he goes on to say, we're hard pressed on every side. In one scripture, he says, there's fightings without and fears within. And I'm like, faithers, you're not supposed to say that, right? You're not supposed to admit that you're fearful or admit that you have doubt. We know, why not? God knows it anyway. If I am fearful of a situation, it's much better for me to go to God and go, look, I'm just scared. All right. I'm just scared. I'm scared to death. you know, and no, we're not, we don't want to live in that. No, we don't want to confess that and profess it and follow after it. But we do want to be honest with God and come to God and go, all right, I'm scared with this. I don't know what to do. Or, I'm God, I want to have the faith to believe this, but sometimes I'm lacking. See, we can come to God in all honesty. Paul says, we're pressed on every side, but we're not crushed. But we are pressed on every side. We are perplexed. Paul was perplexed. He didn't know what to do. Paul, that wrote two-thirds of the New Testament, telling us what to do, sometimes didn't know what to do because he was a human dealing with other human beings, dealing with real life situations, right? We're perplexed, but not in despair. We're persecuted, but we're not forsaken. We're struck down. What? But we're not destroyed. We carry the dying of Christ in our bodies. He says, and because he's just prefaced this by saying, we have this treasure in an earthen vessel. You see, God gave us peace, but we got it in a clay pot. God gave us his mercy, but we have it in a clay pot. God gave us his grace, but we got it in a clay pot, right? So we go back up a verse and said, because I want to know what this treasure is in the midst of all this, the hard stuff Paul was going through. He wasn't focused on the hard things he's going through. He admitted them. He addressed them. He said, I'm perplexed, but I'm not in despair. I'm troubled, but I'm not fretting. I'm hard pressed, but I'm not crushed because I have this treasure in an earthen vessel. What treasure? Let's go back up one verse to verse 6. I'm in 2 Corinthians 4. For it is God who commanded light to shine out of darkness. He said, let there be light. Now let me remind you that before he said, let there be light, he had already taken care of everything. Revelation 13:8 says, that before the Lamb was slain, before the foundation of the world, God knew we couldn't do it on our own. So before he said, let there be light, he made sure we could get back to him. What an awesome, merciful, wise God he is, right? It is God who commanded light to shine out of darkness, who has also shone in our hearts. Why? To give the light of the knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Christ. And that's the treasure that we have in an earthen vessel. So even when we feel let's see, hard pressed, even when we feel perplexed, even when we feel persecuted, even when we feel struck down, even when we feel wiped out, even when we feel overwhelmed. That's my word for the week, right? I'm just overwhelmed. I just sat and stared at the computer. I hadn't done any work in a week because I just go, I don't even know where to start. Well, I'm going to today. I will figure this out today, but I've just been overwhelmed emotionally, mentally, even physically. It's just, oh, so much going on, right? And the world is crazy, and the news is crazy, and there's so much trauma. I'm overwhelmed, but we have a treasure in this overwhelmed, broken down vessel, in that we can see the face of Christ. God gave us the light to be able to see the face of Christ in the midst of turmoil, in the midst of being overwhelmed, in the midst of being pressed down, in the midst of being persecuted, perplexed, any kind of struggle. God remains. He didn't take anything back. This was one thing when Chris first had his wreck, I thought my world had ended, and it did in a lot of ways, right? But God didn't change. He didn't say, "Oh, never mind." He didn't say never mind when a pandemic started either, and we started these devotionals a year and a half ago. He didn't say, "Oh, a pandemic. Wait a minute. Nobody. That was not in my memo. I did not get the memo. When did we get a pandemic? What are we going to do?" No, he has no question. He put everything in place, and nothing can change that light. He said, "Let there be light," and there's still light. He said, "I'm giving you peace," and there's still peace. He says, I'm giving you my mercy, and he's still got mercy for us. He's still got grace for us. He still loves us. He says, "I love you," and he still loves us. None of these things wipe out the things we experience in this treasure, in this clay pot. None of these things, the things that we experience, like I said, I said it backwards. Sorry, got ahead of myself. None of the things that we experience, as real as they are, as raw as they are, as troubling as they are, as scary as they are, none of these things that we experience, no matter what we're going through right now, erases what he put in this clay pot. He put his glory in this clay pot. He put his peace in this clay pot. He put his life in this clay pot. He put his light in this clay pot. Yeah, I'm going to remind myself. So as you go through today, just remind yourself that you still have everything you need for life and godliness. What you need in the natural, what you need in the spiritual, you have in this aging clay pot. Right? He didn't take anything back. Nothing has expired. Nothing has run out. We still have all of him right here in this clay pot. I pray that I said something to help you today. I pray that grace and peace and mercy are multiplied to you today, no matter how good you've got it or how rough you've got it. I pray that he just multiplies his peace, and I pray that you have the wisdom to cling to what is good, to cling to him, and to let his peace reign in your heart. Have a great day, you guys. I'll see you in the morning.